Hello, fellow Americans. Voice of Reason coming at you from Jacksonville, Florida. And what I'm about to say is probably not going to surprise you. At the same time, what I'm going to say is going to shock the living hell out of you. And what I mean by that, as the title implies, don't believe what the mainstream media is pushing because it's pure nonsense. Clinton's being pounded in all the polls. Most of us would agree that we know that there's some really dirty pool going on in Washington right now, especially with Hillary Clinton, but can't really put our finger on exactly what's going on. How is it that more than half the country could be duped into voting or supporting a serial felon, known sociopath, and arguably the most corrupt politician in our country's history? So nobody can really put their finger on it. Well, it appears there's been a few leaks from the DNC. And, I keep pushing how people need to be prepared for, in the event this election leads to martial law, whether it be through violence or any other way that we end up getting there. And I can't stress that enough. I can't imagine how the country would react if she were elected fraudulently. And God knows that they're going to try that. I mean, that's a given. I truly can't say what I think could happen, or even more importantly, what I hope would happen, out of fear of my government, plain and simple. James Wesley Rawls, if any of you have read the Patriots series, it's about a group of Americans surviving in a post-apocalyptic America. While it is fiction, James Wesley Rawls he's a former Army intelligence officer. And he did a piece a week or so ago titled President Clinton's Coming War on the Blogosphere and on Free Speech. And I take that very seriously because I know it's coming. And I don't want to draw any more attention to myself than I already do. So with that said, I'm just going to stress one more time, there will be links. Please make sure you're preparing, folks, because what these people are up to it's nothing short of insanity. And there's going to come a tipping point before or after she's elected. So anyway, on to my post. If we were to come out and say that Barack Obama is an ideologue, that's certainly not going to, win me any Pulitzer Prizes, right? That's more or less a given. Anybody with, a pulse or an IQ over 6 has known that since before he was elected. For everybody else, that would be, the liberals that are barely registering, if registering at all, any brain activity. Most of them would have even conceded as much once he got reelected. Well, if we've learned anything in the last couple of weeks through this email fiasco, etc., with Hillary, if we learn anything, we've learned that she's infinitely more corrupt than Obama. Arguably more of a sociopath, not to mention the fact that, this woman is a stone-cold killer, period. I did a post earlier today about how 5 of her political enemies have died in the last 6 weeks under very mysterious circumstances. Now, that in and of itself, when you see who they are and how they died, should really shock the hell out of you. The fact that no law enforcement is following up on it should really shock the hell out of you. And the fact that it's not the first 5, it's actually numbers 63, 4, 5, 6, and 7 who have died in mysterious accidents that were former Clinton associates or adversaries. That really ought to wake people up. And I list them all by name in that post, by the way. And there will be links. Incidentally, the post that this video will be included in, there'll be a link to it in the notes section in YouTube. So, how is it, that following the conventions, and I show a clip of the DNC convention, And it's while Hillary is speaking, because you can hear her in the background. And seats everywhere are empty. So how is it that, following the convention where Donald Trump is taking commanding leads in just about every demographic there is, the only demographics, by the way, that Hillary's winning is African American single women and white college males with advanced degrees in social science. The only two demographics she's leading in. How the hell is it possible that she's leading in polls between 7 and 10 percentage points? You're about to find out. You're about to find out. So, and to prove that point, today's Real Clear Politics averages got Clinton up by 7. She's got 47% to Trump's 40. So again, how is that possible? Well, in a recent interview from realtruenews.org, they interviewed somebody from within the super liberal 538 group, which is run by Nate Silver, again, the uber liberal. And the insider says, I'll go through it a little bit more in a second, but at one point he says to the person interviewing him, so what? You think polls are random? Come on. Who do you think pays for the polls? People who want results. You're buying media. It's just like ads, or I don't know. It's like a newspaper story. You pay $30K for a poll in Florida, it says whatever you want. Wow. Wow. Coming from a far left group like the 538 group, that's crazy. So, we already know that Hillary and the DNC deliberately rigged the primary process to make sure that Hillary won. And one family that's all too familiar with the fraud is the Lucas family, because Sean Lucas is one of the 5 people who have died in the last 6 weeks, and all he did was deliver the service of process, announcing the class action suit against Wasserman Schultz and the DNC for defrauding the American people. So all he did was, give them their service of process, advising them they're being sued, now infamously saying, "You've been served." He's dead. It's unknown whether there's conflicting reports. Either he died in his sleep or on the bathroom floor. So easy to confuse the two, I know. The simple fact that all the details are being hidden, unlike other murders, that ought to be, red flag right there. I'm going to say what I've been saying for quite some time now. Number one, this is a George Soros, globalist orchestrated election. All right, they lost Brexit. They weren't happy about it. They're sure as hell not going to lose the gains that they've made towards socialism in the United States. Not without throwing billions into it if they have to. What I've been saying, I'll quote this, the political class and the global controlled, corrupt mainstream media are using lies and cover-ups to lead the masses directly into the voting booth and trying to pull the levers for Hillary Clinton for them. However, once Hillary's elected, she'll personally make sure she leads the sheep to slaughter, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Again, if you want to know specifics of what you can expect, I would consider taking a look at, and I'll include it in the links, James Wesley Rawls' article titled "President Clinton's Coming War on the Blogosphere and Free Speech." He goes through a very detailed list of what to expect and how to get yourself in an awful lot of trouble with free speech in the coming future. So, the article on from Real True News basically goes on to share the exchange between the interviewer and the interviewee, but I thought that one quote would certainly catch your attention and get you to read the article. In closing, in addition to just saying what I keep saying, prepare, folks. Make sure you've got food. Make sure. I personally would suggest the Conquering the Collapse book that there will be a link to. I've almost worn out the touchpad on my iPad from it. Very inexpensive, very practical things that any family can do in the event of whether it's martial law or economic collapse, whatever. But it gives you the step-by-step instructions of things that you can be doing as an ordinary person. I'm going to leave that alone. In addition to making sure people prepare, I just want to leave them with this thought. It's something that really struck me when I was listening to the show, and I'll include a link to the show in the actual blog post. It was from the Hagman Report. Awesome show, awesome episode. Had Dave Hodges and Steve Quayle on, but Dave Hodges said something that has just been ringing in the back of my ears for the last week or so. He said, we're at a crossroads in history. We're being given a chance. We as a country are being given a chance to make some substantial changes spiritually, emotionally, physically, economically, politically. We have a real opportunity that we are not going to get again in my lifetime. And the window is short. The window is very, very short. I'm going to expound on that a little bit. The window closes in November. So, make a very long story short, Hillary is not ahead in the polls. She's getting obliterated. Don't believe the hype. She's buying the results. And any doubts should be put to bed by watching that video that I will include of what the seats, what the arena looked like while she was speaking at her own convention with that voice for reason out.